So in those actual dispersal orders that they've got, they cannot apparently they can't arrest anyone under 16 in those dispersal orders. But yet, if you're over the age of 10 for another offence, you can be arrested. Now, I didn't know too much about this. I think it all started changing around 1998, but possibly before. But it was in 1933 when this Section 50 Children and Young Persons Act 1933, Section 50 of this Act states that children under 10 are presumed to be incapable of committing a crime. In Scotland, it's 12 years old for criminal responsibility. Now, they've got all this special process for young offenders under 16 where the police and prosecutors, they've also got these responsible persons, however they want to call it. It's all to do with this Crown Prosecution Service basis of cleansing. It's called cleansing, right? They call it cleansing. They use it if they want to get assisting offenders, if they want to get members of the public or a criminal to help them instead of prosecuting them, and they grant them immunities. But it's called cleansing, confessions, right? I think it's all kind of based from the religious basis of it, but there's no forgiveness in that anymore. Anyway, it's all confessions and no forgiveness. I think that, not by the jury anyway, because you don't get a fair trial, they're getting everyone to admit their crimes. Now, with these young offenders, if they confess, they can be offered like these conditional conditions. Basically, it's a little bit like ASBO or whatever, antisocial behaviour disorder or whatever. Basically, conditions, like they'll agree to do certain things, like they might agree to stay in or not go to a certain place or do certain things. Almost kind of like parents, grounding you or giving you certain rules. Parents, I think that's where responsible person comes from, right? And what they're actually doing is, they're not supposed to offer them a conditional offer before they get a confession, because then it would be breaking this law that I've been talking about for a while called deals for justice, right? It would be making deals and negotiations in exchange for justice. They're not going to do that because it's against the judge's oath. But funnily enough, the police are doing that with you anyway, and the courts are doing it with Julian Assange. So I don't know why they're saying they're not doing it for young offenders. Well, they're making out that they're going to go by the rule, right? The oath of the judge, but it's based on, but I think that probably behind the scenes in the police station and with the CPS, probably you'll find that it's a different story. But anyway, the model of this confessions business with small children, what I've been thinking and realising now is that if they've been doing this with younger and younger and younger children, right, like down to 10, and they've been getting like teenagers they've been getting them in the police station, obviously, when the parents probably might not be there, if they get taken off. They've been getting all these certain adults and persons to get them to confess, basically, right? Talk to them and confess. But then apparently they can give them these offers and so forth. I think they can, if they don't follow the offers, then they can be prosecuted, but they've been trying to not prosecute them. But the thing is, if you can get someone to confess, you don't need to prosecute them because they've confessed a crime. And then if you get them to agree to your requests, then you don't need to send them on community service, and you don't need to fine them or anything, because you've got them to confess, and then you've got them to even consent and agree to doing what you want them to do without having to prove to a court that they're guilty and pass a sentence on them to make them do it by an order of a court. You've got them to confess and kind of just agree to it, right? This is literally what they're getting all drivers to do, right? Confess, confess, confess. And half of the time, you haven't really done anything wrong, and they're setting ridiculous limits, dropping the speed down on the motorway, like, with the click of your fingers when there's no in front of you, and various other means of what I think is torture. They've got tolls, like on the M6 toll road, that isn't even lawful to do the Magna Carta and the King's Peace anyway. They're putting people through them tolls. It's not even speeding. It's just a charge, right? What they've done with getting rid of the right to a fair trial by a jury in the magistrates' courts until it's more serious now in the Crown Court is they've got a lot of these judges, when there's a lot of laws there as well, like, there are loads of clauses of law which you can rely on, and these magistrates don't let you have them. They never let you have them. Anyway, even if you claim it, magistrates court really is. I'm not a football fan, but like when you see it on TV, like league football, like second division, third division football, like mudsliding and like just mad rain on the pitch, just a mess. Magistrates courts are an absolute massacre of the public. Particularly with the criminal procedure rules, criminal procedure rules, are violated en masse, and it's not a court of record either. So, so what they've gradually been doing since Tony Blair, because Tony Blair is one of these Fabians, like with his Fabian Society or whatever. I think what Blair has done, and probably kind of from around them, probably maybe a little bit more with John Major, I'm not sure, but they've been phasing out the Magna Carta, and even they're trying to phase out the Bill of Rights slowly, because Elizabeth repealed it, like even for the Lords, the Barons and Lords, right? But they've still sort of opening Parliament with it, right? Yeah, they claim they repealed it, but they're still opening Parliament with the declaration of it to effect, right? So they've made quite a lot of errors. They really didn't like this, like trial by your peers, and then also your peers can forgive you, basically, as well, on their own conscience. They really tried to get rid of that because they had courts of conscience after the Glorious Revolution, and particularly with driving offences as well, when it's not really, it's not like, it's not theft or murder or stealing. And a lot of the time, they set a lot of the limits misleading and not to what this natural percentile is and so forth. So they've definitely moved to this kind of like sending demanding letters out with intimidating letters and trying to force confessions and getting to pay up, basically, right? Without your own peers judging you, and also figuring in the religious. I don't think Blair is a Christian. I don't think Tony Blair. I mean, I know that he went to Gray's Inn and they had a chapel and all this lot and so forth, but I don't think that Tony Blair is like of the Christian faith, really. I think he's kind of like some sort of Scientologist, supremacist, because like I've seen him live in an interview when he comes out with this, like, that's somebody else's problem. He really couldn't give a flying monkey's fuck. And I never really seen Tony Blair push charities that much. I mean, at least Bill Gates pretends that he's, working for charities. But Blair is like, oh, fuck them, someone else's it's their fucking problem, while he's taking over the world, like fuck them. So I think they brought it in with it's this whole kind of like re-educating the youths, and this is what Neil Oliver was talking about quite a bit in Scotland, and I think they're trying to kill off all the older people, particularly with all, COVID, these COVID diseases, all this new weird clotting thing and everything, but also like the diabetes. The thing with the Chinese restaurants is this, right? In the 1800s, they had all those heroin dens, which were causing a lot of problems. All the Chinese were coming over and having these heroin dens where they got everyone on heroin, and they had to put a stop to it and make it illegal. I think particularly Prince Philip was fond of all these, encouraging these Chinese and Indian restaurants to open. However they did it, they definitely put an improv on it. They definitely, they must have kind of like promoted it over there, like come to England and set up a Chinese restaurant, and then got their families ringing up and going, oh yeah, we've set one up, why don't you come over and set one up? It's almost like how they're getting these immigrants to come over here now. Why are they coming here? Oh, my family's here. They set it up. They set up a program for it, not an official program, their own background plan program, which it's Tony Blair, again, mechanisms of implementation. And they started getting everyone fucked on these Chinese meals and Indian meals, right? Yet the CPS are going, cleansing, everyone needs cleansing. We need to cleanse these people. They need cleansing. We must cleanse them of their sins, like some kind of priests, the crown prosecutors, as if they're fucking going in with the holy water. This is all a little bit like the Golden Compass, like with the authority or whatever, The CPS are like, we must cleanse these people of their sins, get them to confess their dirty crimes when, they're not really dirty crimes, but they are when we've finished putting misleading them and switching and swapping the limits around, and conjuring up stupid offences that aren't even a crime, when we've finished with them, they'll all be confessing their sins and coming, getting them, it's not other citizens who get to judge them by the time they're finished. And yet, while the CPS claim they're cleansing everyone, then Philip's porking everyone up with these plum sauces, sweet plum sauce, and fatty, pork chops with extra fat on, in like a sugared plum sauce, crystallized sugared plum sauce with like noodles and so forth, and korma, coconut korma with more sugar in it, than more sugar in the korma than in the sugar fucking factory, I think that really was Philip's plan. And he must have been driving round almost like a farmer, looking at his pigs in the little, look, all these humans, we've given them houses and a little garden and flowers in the garden, but we're parking them all up like, like a Christmas duck or whatever, definitely not fucking cleansing them anyway, for sure. But, as Tony Blair says, that's someone else's problem. Fuck them, Yet now we've caught him, now we spied him, now we shone the light on him, catch the vampire in the fucking torch beam, get the holy water out and, get the cross of Jesus in front of Tony Blair. And then he's like getting fucking, I'm a health freak. He's getting salads out everywhere on the fucking table. Oh no, you come here and have some holy Tony fucking salad, holy shamoli Tony salad, right? Oh no. I'm a Fabian. Come to my parties, eat leaves, eat leaves and berries, But we're Tony Blair running around with like a fucking thong on with a fucking leaf on the front of it, like fucking a cherub going, no, I'm a health freak, I'm not trying to poison these people, even though I pushed all the fucking, I ushered in the fucking entire, McDonald's, drive-through fucking bit. We've got to pork these people up with Prince Philip's porky plan. While, the CPS are pretending, no, we're cleansing everyone, we're cleansing them, while they're rolling around in their own muck. It's fucked. You know, they're getting everyone to confess. But then they're setting everyone up to sin. You know, Prince Philip's literally got everyone on a conveyor belt, right, straight in the front of the fucking Chinese restaurant and straight back out the back end again, right? It's almost like a fucking, it's like Sin City, isn't it? It's almost like the Titty Twister. It's like Prince Philip, isn't it? It's like, come on in the fucking casino. They built casinos everywhere. They legalised casinos and gambling everywhere. Then they got everyone gambling on the national lottery, saying it's for charity. It literally is like out of Biff Tannen. It literally is like Back to the Future. It's literally like Biff's future, you know, in Back to the Future, you know. Yet they put everyone on a conveyor belt of sin, and then they've got the CPS, you know, like at the other side when they come back out again. You know, they've got everyone going straight on the conveyor belt in the front, you know, admitting their own crimes, you know, confess. And then when you come back out again, you know, there is no cleansing because, you know, it's almost like, you know, everyone's had the COVID jab and the freaking, you know, new blood clot fucking casting. And all the new kids that they're upbringing, all Fabians, you know, confess, you know, tell the truth to me now, you know. It is a weird fucked up cult that I think Blair has ushered in with the help of the, you know, and all these repeals and so forth that cannot be possibly done. And then now we've got all cameras, everything's photographed so they can prove it. I think it is a massive takeover of the status quo of the public's kind of like the common law. I don't really like talking about common law, but, you know, that's what it is. You know, everyone's responsible for each other. But now they've got everyone like locking each other, like, you know, everything's regulated now, and you can't just post something online, you know, it's all like admin approval, permission to speak, sir, you know. They've got everyone now really, everyone's put each other on this permission to speak basis. You got to ask permission to speak to the person next to you, like, you know, oh, excuse me, Kamala Harris, could I have permission to speak, please? You see, Camilla is going on about this First Amendment business, but they've already got everyone asking each other for permission to speak in their within a group. And that's before you've even said anything. Before you've even said what you're going to say, you must ask permission. Submit a comment for admin approval. Well, Camilla, you know, is it Kamala or Camilla? We're not quite sure, one or the other. Well, Kamala, I haven't actually said anything yet, but can I apply for admin approval to speak to my own friends in my own group, you know? Never mind, you know, whether it's a First Amendment or not, but could I have permission to speak, please? Well, that all depends on what you're going to say, doesn't it? Because we've all, you know, it's not like it's free to speak, and then if you say the wrong thing, then we'll lock it. No. No, this is not like Biden, you know, taking people's videos down. This is like everything's already locked, you know. You got to say the magic word to get it open, you know. It's pre-locked. To unlock it, you know, before you even said anything, you know, the pre-setting is you will not have permission to speak. You won't have permission to speak or post in the group until you submit you know, until you, you know, put forward a question or a comment. If you submit a comment, you can apply for permission to speak. That's how they've got it at the moment online, you know, locking everything down, when that's actually completely and totally illegal for political speech under the Public Meeting Act, and definitely under parliamentary privileges as well in England. So, you know, it really, I really don't like it. I think they're trying to, it is I think it's genocidal. I think that they're wanting to. I think that they are grooming society. They're kind of like. I think they're filtering out who they want and who they don't want, and then they're getting them to, behave how they want. Well, we've had this statement, from Larry Fink. We're going to control behaviours, going to control their behaviours. Well, Larry, you said that everyone's welcome, whether they're a Buddhist or, a Muslim or Islam, everyone's welcome. We control your behaviors, so you welcome different behaviors. We'll change your behaviors, so then you welcome other behaviors. You welcome diverse behaviors, welcome more behaviors, welcome different behaviors, welcome different religious behaviors, and then we'll control your behaviors. Welcome more behaviors. Come in, behaviors. Come in, behaviors. Are you receiving me, behaviors? Come in, Buddhist behaviors. Come in, Muslim behaviors. Come in, Islam behaviors. Come into the titty twister, the Larry, the Fink, the Fink fandango. Come on, behaviors. Come in, behaviors. Different behaviors. We're bringing in behaviors. Come on, behaviors. Bringing in different behaviors. Now we'll put them through the titty twister. Now we're controlling behaviors. We're controlling them. We got to control behaviors. We're going to control them, control the behaviors. We're going to control the Muslims, control the Islam, control the Buddhists, control the behaviors, control the religions. Come in, religions, welcome religions, come in, behaviors, welcome behaviors, come in, religions, welcome behaviors. Now we control the behaviors, control behaviors, change behaviors, control behaviors, welcome more behaviors, welcome, come in to the Fink fandango, It's literally it's the fucking Larry Fink titty twister, with the fucking, car parking out the back was fucking trashed, those are the fucking COVID injuries. This is the thing. We need to put a stop to these Fabians, these fucking Scientologists, because they're actually, the only goal now is control and domination of this planet. And I mean, I'm sat talking into a phone, I'm fucked. And now Starmer's wanting everyone to have, assisted suicide, which is, all the people who have been driven insane from ULEZ. They've been given, £1,200 fines, scaffolding guy just going about his normal job. He's getting fined, why don't you try sell your car? Well, I like that car, it's my thing, it's my chattel, you just pick something, that I've got that you don't want me to have anymore, and then find me the fuck for having it. Find me excessively hard and repetitively till I definitely cannot possibly financially afford it. There's no way that I'm going to be able to afford it. And then you can, when I can't pay the fines, make them even more. If that ain't enough to drive anyone medically, clinically insane, where the doctor could issue Sadiq Khan with a medical note to prove that they have got stress and anxiety from fines that they cannot possibly financially afford, almost like, petitions that you cannot possibly get the amount of signatures for, 100,000 in 6 months, that's one a minute, and I don't even know how some of them get them on some of these Facebook groups. I've tried, it's not easy, one a minute, at some point you've got to be one a minute for 6 months, you've got to have some hell of a lot of moments of mass signing, 1 a minute for 6 months. You've got to go through phases of hundreds of thousands of people, like literally, 1,000 people signing, all at once, like in a day or 20 minutes. Even if 1,000 people signed in a day, that's 365 days a year. Half of that is, 150, something like 180 or something. 180 days in half a year. 180 days, 180 days. It's a lot. I don't know how some people do it. on in 6 months. It's very difficult to do it online, particularly with all this admin control, permission to speak, permission to speak on groups. You got to have it approved, even though it's a petition and you can't be blocked in a group of people. You don't need permission to ask any shepherd's flock of sheep to speak. Can I speak to your sheep, please, shepherd? Can I have consent to speak to your sheep? No, these are my sheep. Well, actually, they're British citizens and I have the right to speak to them. Not in my group, you don't. It's private. Well, I thought we were in England. This is England. I'm round at Jeff Bezos's party. Hello, Jeff. Permission to speak, Jeff. Well, I'll have a couple of glasses of wines here, and he's David Blaine going to chew on some glass. Have you got any safety goggles? Oh, look, there's George Clooney over there. I might go ask him to sign my petition. Oh, whoa, stop. Fucking, what's the matter, Jeff? Don't speak to George at my party. Well, I'm going to ask him to sign my petition. No, we don't talk to George Clooney at my parties. You can't ask him that. You'll have to leave, I'm sorry, I've got freedom of speech, Well, I'll have to ask you to leave. Well, you can ask me to leave after I've asked him, So, you can ask me to leave after I've asked him, after I've offended you, not before. Permission to speak, please, at your party, Jeff. Well, you can... No. You get the privilege of asking me to leave your party, Jeff, after I've asked George Clooney if he wants to sign my petition. Not, I have to ask you for permission to speak at your party first, You can throw me out after. This is the thing with these people. It's all locked down, like with Zuckerberg and Nick Clegg and Musk and, Sergey Brin and so forth. This is the thing. It's like 3-2-1 Sergey Brin, Dusty Bin, innit? Can you remember that TV program? Dusty Bin. 3-2-1 Dusty Bin, Sergey Brin, Dusty Bin. Funny. So it's odd what they're doing. They're definitely, you see, once they get set up for making all of these machines and robots, which they've got, he's going exactly like that Star Wars film, isn't it, with the Attack of the Clones? That is definitely the agenda at the moment. Definitely the agenda. What I don't like is the fact that they've been setting everyone up for these. They've been designing. They've designed the urban environment to be ultra sinful on purpose, with all the drive-thrus and the products and the fucking perfumes sending people's smelling and nasal, sensors whoopee-doo. And then the CPS have been going, oh no, we're cleansing people, we're cleansing them, we're not just cleansing sores and warts and wrinkles, we're cleansing them. Well, we're cleansing us with sugar plum. I'll have a sweet and sour chicken, please, with fried rice and gravy. Yes, we're cleansing my forehead with gravy from fucking KFC, No wonder people resort to stealing after the government have, find them on illegal tolls on the King's Peace. And then, Sadiq Khan has been sending them insane fines, which no one can possibly afford to pay, and take their things off them, What's to say Sadiq Khan won't put a tax on, sofas or something, They make you pay. If they can do it for those old cars, they can do it for anything. They can suddenly say, right, if anyone's watching an old TV set, we're going to fine them until they force you to have to sell it or chuck it in a skip, and then they'll be giving you a new Google TV which has got the full 1984 thing on it, or whatever. It's you don't own anything. They're wanting to you don't decide what car you want to buy and when you want to sell it or keep it forever. They are now deciding what TV you'll have and what car you'll have and, what mobile phones you can choose from. And if they want to take them off you, they'll come up with a fine, right? So you'll have to get rid of it because you won't be able to afford to keep it. That is like it's not only entrapment, but it's this kind of like, oh, nothing and be happy. But I don't think that you'll be happy because I think that you'll be dead. I think you'll be dead. I don't think we'll be happy the way that it's going. Because like Starmer's opening up, assisted suicide fucking Sunday. And then you've got all these weird clotting things, turning up now as well. So Starmer needs to stand back and think, right, we, do the citizens, right, even those who didn't vote for Labour, which is a majority of the world, right, do they want all these oligarchs to literally own their lives, literally be spying on them and telling them what they're doing, like this anonymous movement are doing, but kind of like the government, because at the moment now, everyone is kind of like under the belief that, they're being listened into by, Julian Assange or fuck knows, unless you've got ExpressVPN, every single thing you say or do is being listened into, right? So everyone's immediately kind of like acting, and not as themselves. They're acting to a unknown director or to an unknown producer. Their lives have now been produced, their entire life is now an act. They're now like directed, like, that's why it's Starmer, because all of the stars are directed by a director and produced. All of your TV household names, it's all scripted and directed, and if that's what makes them happy, doing what someone else says, and it's all fake, then if that rocks their boat, then fair enough. But they want everyone to be like that. We're all going to, when we're all stars, we're all going to be directed and produced, and I think that's what Bill Gates and Elon Musk and Sergey Brin are about, and Mark Zuckerberg. They're now producing us. We're being directed and produced, and there's nothing to say that legislation isn't there to control general behaviour, but like in the common law, the law can be disregarded by your fellow humans if they think that it should be set aside, right? But they don't even want that. They want these corporate entities and companies to decide if you've done right or wrong or not. And they don't even look at Google. You don't even have the right to speak to anyone or even look at the information or details. It's like handed down from Mount Ararat, from fucking Neil Mohan, or Sergey Brin. They're like handing down the fucking, the 10 commandments, the 10 Google lines, policy lines, which don't really say much. You broke the policy. Commandment 1, you broke our content policy on false information. Well, yes, God, but what was the information that I said false? If you'd like to point it out from me, I maybe could learn from this. There will be no. That's it. Then it's gone. The voice is gone, and then it does not respond to you anymore. It's got nothing else to say. All you get is these 10 lines on a fucking Google policy fucking tablet. This is it. We need to stop these people, and a lot of them, they're like making up tosh anyway. All their policies aren't logical. They can't possibly work. They're meant to have like really intelligent people who do computer programming lines of command, which have got to be correct or that won't work. But when you get into their law, they're living in fantasy land. It's all fantasy. It's not logical. They've got a team that's doing the fucking coding, which is pure logic. It has to be or it won't work. Then you've got another team who's doing pure fantasy, like fantasy law, right? Because they're just getting people to agree and consent to it, which... but yet, it doesn't. It's not even legal. It can't be legal. In fact, it's illegal. It's criminal. And I don't really know what Starmer's going to do about that, because people have been operating companies with illegal criminal policies for the last 5-10 years, and they need to be prosecuted for illegal activity or whether it's civil action or not. I think it's a crime. I think it's fraud. You know, I think it's a crime. It's not like civil against their customers. I think it's actually a crime. You know, reading history. I think that Julius Caesar was like one of the intelligent sort of people in the Senate, but he was a military commander, wasn't he? But he managed to get control of the army and then kind of like use it against the state and then take control, because they had a republic, didn't they, before that? It was actually a republic. I think what we've got now is they had men, they had soldiers, and they were armed, and they had weapons, and they had a lot of like physical power and force, right? And they managed to be able to take over the republic using armed force, military force. Now what we've got is we've got like Bill Gates, Sergey Brin, Mark Zuckerberg, and Elon Musk, who are like, effectively, they've got staff, you know, they've got enterprises, they've got command of personnel who can access, they don't have to be physically there. They don't have to be like Caesar. They don't have to get a troop or a unit or a legion there on the ground to make people do shit, right? You can make them do it by these policies, consent, submit, accept, which isn't even a law. It's like infiltrating your own law in a different country. And they've got the influence of the light glowing up on the screen, which, forget, you know, what the fuck's on the screen. It's just a glowing light, right? You know, it's like code. It doesn't matter. You know, you got to think of it like your phone's just a glowing light. Yeah, it's just like data, information at the end of the day, whether it's a picture or text or whatever. Might as well be like a fucking, you know, it might as well be Aladdin's cave. You might as well be in the genie's lamp. It doesn't matter where it is. At the end of the day, right, flashing lights, you know, send you a message, right? And then you do shit, right? You do shit that it wants you to do, like go buy this or go there, right? So it's almost kind of like, you know, when they called these things tablets, they weren't joking, like these 10 Commandments. It's kind of like, it's using all the ideas from the Bible and the God, the commandments, mixing it a little bit in with the Caesar and the Roman army, but they've got the muscle, the physical force and the shields, you know. It's almost kind of like, you know, it's kind of like, it's a mad thing. It's like, it's almost kind of mixing a religion with a military, but presenting it as entertainment or as a commodity or as a part of a social thing. But remember, see, even though Caesar had an army, he was still one of the, you know, he was still one of the intellectuals, you know, in Rome. He was, you know, one of the people around the Senate circles, right? And therefore, he was a man of social. He had knowledge of the running of the republic, you know, and the you know, the kind of academics, you know, but he was a person of political action and influence who had a physical army, you know, a force to exert that political force. And that's, I think, the thing with Bill Gates and Sergey Brin and Zuckerberg. Brin and Zuckerberg are almost like kind of like little mini Bills, you know, like you've got, you know, Mike Myers, you know, with Dr. Evil, and you got Mini-Me. Sergey Brin and Zuckerberg are like mini Bills, you know, they're like mini Bill Gateses. They're all for it. They're all in on it. They're like, you know, the Spectre agents, and they love it. All the money and the power and the fame, and all the things, you know, they're sold. You know, I'm in. You know, they're in. We love this shit. You know, and like Tony Blair, you know, that's someone else's problem. You know, what about all the effects of the people who don't like all this? Well, that's someone else's problem. It's not my problem. You know, fuck them. You know, this is the thing with Starmer. You know, what about all the people who didn't vote for you, Starmer? Well, that's their problem. That's someone else's problem, not Labour's problem. You know, this is the thing. So, you know, we're definitely now we're under a attack. And we've got, you know, Kamala Harris and Trump and Biden and so forth, because they're all in on it, aren't they? I mean, so you know, it's not a pleasant future to just be criticised. You know, can you imagine? You know, like, even if you're by yourself, you know, if there's no one there, even if you're with people or whether you're not with people, some like mobile phones saying, "Hey, up just a minute, you can't do that, and if you continue, you'll be arrested." You know, like, even if you're in your own house or something, you know, just whatever. You know, and every single thing being documented and recorded. You know, at 5:57, you breathed 7 times when the current oxygen rate in this low oxygen environment is 3 lung liters per second. Have you got your breathing apparatus fitted, which controls your lung cycles? You know, so you're only supposed to breathe 69.484 milliliters of oxygen, and you breathed, you know, 5 liters of oxygen over your limit. You know, beep beep beep, like this shit. Like, you know, it's definitely, there's something in the Star Wars films with George Lucas that really, really kind of fits in with all this, particularly when you've got those rebels just hopping on the speed bikes and zooming off, you know, like there's those, you know, those scouter, Imperial Scouters, and they just, like, you know, they just jump on the bikes and, like, you just zoom off. But you won't do that. You can't do that under Tony Blair and Bill Gates's projected mechanisms of implementation, because firstly, right, when you got on it, it wouldn't start because you need fingerprint coding, or it won't even start. You know, no one can drive it except the stormtrooper guys, and you know, you can't get in the buildings. They had R2D2 trying to open the door, a little droid or whatever, but you know, trying to open the code for the door or whatever. But it's you wouldn't even get over to the door because, like, you know, something in the pavement would like come up, like some sort of fucking wall would come up out of the pavement and block you or whatever. They want an arena where, you know, you can't even walk down a pavement if you don't have authority to walk on that pavement, you know, and, you know, this is the thing. And I think that they're doing stunts like with Rand Paul, you know, when Rand Paul got hustled, you know, and they ended up getting stabbed. Just happened to be that there was a camera facing it, but you still didn't even really see exactly what the fuck happened. That was another one of these terrorist setups, you know, to get Rand Paul. There's no doubt about it. You know, it was all perfectly staged and timed. You know, I don't know how they. I can't say exactly how they did it, but I think they got someone up to it. You know, it just wasn't completely and totally random. We'll probably never find out. But that definitely was, you know, it wasn't just complete and total coincidence, that Rand Paul incident. It was definitely, you know, to get in the media, and perfectly timed, you know, when he's walking past that camera. You know, it's definitely promoting pro surveillance and pro cameras, you know.